Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Bussewitz Quarm, and I am the current Repertoire and Resources Chair of Choral Composition for the Eastern Division of the American Choral Directors Association. Over the next several months, I will be introducing you to various choral composers within the ACDA Eastern region. The first composer that I've interviewed is Shavon Lloyd, and Shavon Lloyd is an award-winning composer, baritone, conductor, and music educator. As a young musician, Shavon has already had the opportunity to perform for a wide variety of audiences and compose for numerous ensembles from K-12 to professional groups. I spoke to Shavon right before he was heading out to St. Louis for an opera theater program for young artists. He stressed the importance of empathizing with who you wrote for as a composer and the uniqueness of the school music program he grew up in and the opportunities it gave its students. Influences included nature and storytelling and what makes people tick, how we interact with each other and with the earth. Juan, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How's your season so far? It's April now as we're recording this.
Yeah, it's going well. Pretty busy.
Yeah.
Doing a little bit of everything, trying to keep myself on my toes. I'm currently at Juilliard for their master's program for vocal performance.
Nice.
So
Oh, wow. Okay.
we're cooking through that and working through some commissions at the same time. So you know, trying
That's
to
great.
trying to get a little of everything done.
Yeah. 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 Now, so I guess it does uh, singing at Juilliard also like involve like singing in a choral setting as well? I'm assuming it probably does, or is that not really part of it at this point?
It's actually not.
Yeah,
It's they've actually this year I think they just started a Juilliard community choir,
nice.
and it's it's comprised of students and faculty and other community
Mm-hmm.
members. Um, but there's no choral program specific, and not only that, there's no wind ensemble program. All the
Right,
instrumentalists are
in the orchestra.
orchestra
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the jazz ensemble, which is interesting as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely.
it's very focused on performance in either orchestral world or opera world or
Yeah.
um individual performance. So
And
it's
is this your first year, or have you is this you wrapping up, or?
yeah, this is my first year in the master's program.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, we're almost done. Actually, we have our last performance of Johnny Schicchi tomorrow. Sora Angelica and Johnny Schicchi, some Puccini operas tomorrow for our matinee. And then Sunday, I'm off to St. Louis for their opera theater program as a young artist. So that'll be fun as well. So we're keeping it going.
That's great. That's really great. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck in all those performances, I know obviously you write choral. That's why I got in contact with you.
Mhm.
And but do you uh, write opera settings as well, or is that something that is in the future? Or
Yeah, it's I would love to, and I'm looking forward to it. I think moving forward, and that's it's actually a goal of mine.
yeah, yeah,
All of my peers at Juilliard are probably tired of hearing me brainstorm ideas for things that would be great opera works or musical theater works or whatever. Um,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I think I'm really interested in getting an intimate connection with what it means to perform an opera first, and
Sure.
understanding the ins and outs of being on the stage. I find it to be really important to be able to empathize with who you write for.
Nice.
Like as a choral singer, it made it a lot easier to get into writing for choirs. And hopefully the same logic, I can be able to empathize with a lot of opera singers or musical theater singers in being a part of few productions
Nice.
or
Nice. You know,
more than a few.
yeah. One of the things that I love about like when I'm singing in a choir, uh, I love those choral pieces that like I mean I love things that are totally accessible and they are what you think they are at very first rehearsal. But there's something also very cool about like delving into something and not getting it, not completely like maybe understanding all the notes and everything, but not really getting the meaning or the depth of it until like your second or third rehearsal, or even like close to concert, it just all of a sudden comes together. But that's because of the intricacies or the depth or the nuances and everything like that. And I'm wondering if that's like an experience you have with opera. I'm not as into the, I haven't really explored the opera scene as much myself, but is that something that speaks to you like in your experience singing opera or as a composer yourself?
Yeah, I find that and it's so interesting. I just had a conversation with some coaches today about this very thing. Um, for me, looking at a new piece of or a new aria or something, or looking at a opera in general, I find myself to be so focused on notes and rhythms, almost to a point where it's almost it's almost lacking humanity. It's very strict, and maybe that's my composer brain, maybe that's my conductor brain, or just looking at everything so analytically, but it's almost losing this expression that I feel like we forget to focus on as musicians, especially in an academic setting.
Okay.
And there what I'm noticing is that the more and more I delve into an aria, or I delve into a song, or looking at songs from musical theater or whatever, it's the more you can break out of that note and rhythm specific performance, and really start to shape phrases based on the style of the era, or based on the language, the flow of the language, the natural rhythm of the language that you're singing in, to really take the notes off the page. That's what I'm like really excited about. How can we not only how can we as performers take notes off of a page, but also how can composers write to make that easier, easier to do. So it's so definitely 100%. Just the further along we go, the more connected we get to a piece of music, and I do like that. It adds to what makes music so exciting.
One of the one of your pieces that I just could listen to over and over again and just soak in is "So Breaks the Sun." It's such a beautiful piece. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about that piece itself, "So Breaks the Sun," which I heard the recording of C4 performing it. It's available on your website. But I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Breaks the Sun was actually in my undergrad, I started as a composition and music ed double major.
Mhm.
And I had an assignment from my composition professor, Dr. David Heiser, who we were going through some things, and he was talking about really focusing not just on writing vertically, but thinking more horizontally as well.
I could hear that. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and just thinking more linearly. If you look at the first piece I ever wrote for choir was called Untitled, and it was for a composition contest, also based in New York City. And it was so vertical. It was just all me sitting at the piano thinking of chords that sounded pretty. There's a piece I wrote in high school, so it's very, very chordal, not much motion moving forward. And so that's what we tried to break out of with this. And I wrote this my sophomore year of undergrad. And what I really tried to capture was this the text is just so it's simple, yet there's so much complexity within the range of emotion that you can experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this the text reads, "So breaks the sun, earth's rugged chains, where in rude winter bounds her veins." It's like this idea of transitioning from winter to spring, but also could be a metaphor for sadness to happiness, from cold to warmth, from darkness to light. These like trying to meld together these binaries, that also, while also moving forward and celebrating this underlying subtext, which is really, really exciting about that. And I really had a lot of fun. As soon as I read that poem, I knew it had to be set. After just reading the first line, "So breaks the sun," it's literally electric
Yeah.
hearing the
Yeah. Yeah.
S's,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
S's in the case. "So breaks the sun," and it just, things just started to happen. I'm sure you've had those moments where you just look at something, and then some text or something, and it almost starts
Certainly.
to write itself.
Absolutely. And I could just tell from watching the video that the choir felt what you were saying as well. And Melissa Wozniak, who was the conductor, you could tell in the way that she, her movements that it really just like everybody felt it. So, I mean, congrats on such a beautiful piece.
Thank you so
It's
much.
just really beautiful stuff. So I had some set questions. We haven't even gotten into them yet because it's just been fun talking to you
Yeah.
about these things and kind of going off on these tangents. But so what was your upbringing like? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Middletown, New York,
Mhm.
which is about it's in the Hudson Valley area, about an hour and a half, two
Sure.
and a half hours from New York City, and north of New York City. And
Mhm.
it's I went to a I grew up in I wouldn't say our family is musical in the sense that everybody played an instrument
Okay.
or everyone were musical in an academic sense, but
Mhm.
um my parents had such a wide range of musical tastes. My mother especially, she had every CD from Green Day to Stevie Wonder to
Yeah.
Whitney, like just the most, to
Nice.
Savage Garden, like the most eclectic music collection you could
Beautiful.
possibly
Love it.
think
Yeah.
of. And my dad, he was into like all these oldies,
Yeah.
the Aretha Franklins, the Gladys Knights, the Johnny
Yeah.
Cashes. So I had a lot of different styles in and out of in our house. Um, and I just had this great cling to music. You know, I just found such great attachment to it. Our school district, Middletown City School District, was a phenomenal music program because they really had this um they had goals obviously of what they wanted us to learn, but there was just so much openness and such a great foundation of basic musical skills that it could
Mhm.
lead us anywhere.
Mhm. Nice.
I which is fantastic. We had so many
Sure.
students leaving Middletown High School, graduating to go on to be music teachers, music performers. One who I can think of now, Aaron Tveit, who's now on Broadway in Moulin Rouge. We've had composers and pianists and songwriters, like lots but of a varying, um, you know, musical
Styles and genres and
styles
yeah.
and genres,
Yeah.
and which was really cool. They didn't just focus on reading music and understanding music theory, but also being able to giving us the tools to be songwriters, giving us the tools to be musical leaders,
Yeah.
conductors, directors, and giving us the tools to improvise and to be creative outside of the scope of being uh, you know being submissive to this to the director performer relationship. It escaped that bound. And I think that really opened a lot of us up to the possibilities of music, which was really exciting.
So your family is part of your identity in terms of like, your music upbringing and what influenced you. Your voice as a composer, it sounds like because of what your parents listened to, that was an influence.
Hmm.
Um, was there anything else that kind of influenced you as you moved forward and like when you said, this is what I want to do, you know? Yeah.
I there was so many different influences. I find that um I was influenced by my I had this great desire to try and tell. I was influenced by stories. I love trying to tell
Nice.
stories,
Nice. Yeah.
and give everything a story.
Yeah.
I find nature is such a big influence on me. So Breaks the Sun is a product of that. The giving the sun a story.
And being in
Um,
Middletown, you're pretty much surrounded by nature. Are you north of the Catskills, but south of the Adirondacks, or are you more like in the Taconics? Where is that area? Because
it's
that's a
more
beautiful
towards
area.
it's a lower Hudson Valley to like lower of the Taconic Parkway. So you see
Right.
we got lots of trees, lots of
Yeah. Yeah.
rivers and all these
Yeah.
great stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like my parents' backyard. The When we moved into our house, it's interesting. It's like on this hill, and the backyard slopes down, and you just see nothing but like woodlands,
Oh,
and
nice.
deer
Yeah.
running up and all
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
It's so picturesque.
Yeah,
I've always been so interested in that, and I know this is so generic, but I also find um, people so inspiring. What motivates people to make their decisions, what gets them out of bed in the morning, what what's their
mhm,
favorite food, why did they why did they order that on off the menu. I'm always
yeah,
so intrigued by that, and I think that's what is pushing me in the direction of writing for stage and writing for opera. It's this I find people fascinating. I find our planet fascinating. I find um connecting with people. I'm inspired by the spirit of collaboration. I love
yeah,
working with people to tell stories, which is part of the reason why I'm studying performance.
yeah,
It's hard to pinpoint what one thing. It's just that you just have to. There's this need to really be a narrator of what's going on around you, and using music as a tool to do that.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Um, so you're working on commissions right now,
Mhm.
and uh, you, these are probably not your first commissions. I think you've probably been doing this for a while. What do you find factors significantly, like when working on a commission, what do you find factors significantly in your final product? In other words, um, what is something that you're like, this is really an important part of making this commission pop or just have deep meaning to
Mm.
you, to the choir, or non-choir, could be another commissioner as well. um, what's your experience with that?
I
Collaboration is really important to you, so it's probably
Yeah.
open communication. That is
Mm.
part of that, right? Would you
Of course,
say? The
such a big part of it.
storyline
Mm.
significant. um,
Mhm.
I mean, I just can tell just by what you said so far about those things, but yeah, I'll let you speak.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, it's so I'll tell you about a recent commission I just did. The Capella Festiva in Hudson Valley, New York, in Poughkeepsie, New York, is directed by Christine Howlett, who is a director of choral activities at Vassar College. And she commissioned me about a year ago or two now, because COVID made things weird,
Yeah.
to write a piece for the community choir that she directs, which is a combination of adults and kids, ranging from I believe 7 or 8 years old to around 17, 18. So a wide variety of kids. And it was for this sort of Earth Day themed concert, this conservation concert, of
Mhm.
protecting the earth and keeping the earth safe. And she wanted me to write um, four pieces, all related to that. So I wrote a collection of choral works called Earth Songs. One for the adult choir, SATV, one for treble choir, two-part treble choir, one for a unison children's choir, and one for all groups. And under this theme of preserving the earth, which is such a big influence for me, it's what I really wanted to focus on was getting to the root of our human interaction with nature. And I think one of the goals I always try to go for with commissions is, again, telling that story that people can connect to. So the first piece, Mother Earth, is from the perspective of is telling the story, this narration of the Earth literally, or I should say personifying the Earth to
Sure.
in interacting with the way that people have been mistreating the Earth. So the second movement um, is called Children of Nature, and it's the treble choir piece, and the treble choir piece and the unison children's choir piece is based on texts that the kids wrote about their own experiences with interacting with the earth, which I love to do. I love when kids can bring
Yeah.
their own perspective into that. And I think that's
Yeah.
so important because, again, it's not just me making it up, right? These are rooted, this text and this story is rooted in real people and saying real things. And these kids are
Gives
saying,
them
oh, my,
ownership of it, right?
yeah, it gives them ownership as well. And as a
Yeah.
teacher, I'm all about that. So
Sure.
what's great about that too is, you know, you take in the students, the kids' perspectives on, you know, how they interact with the earth, and there's so much innocence in it.
Yeah,
Especially with the Unison Children's Choir, they're like, yeah, I like to play outside, I like
yeah,
to jump in puddles, I like to, you know, run around and do, and that
that's what it's all
creates,
about.
yeah, that's all, yeah, exactly. And I don't like this idea of just, you know, shutting out the people who are going to be singing it and just telling them that this is how I interpret you to be really enjoying Earth. You know what I mean? Like, or the
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah,
Bridging the gap between the composer, not just composer and conductor, but composer, conductor, and performer, I think is so important, because it gives them ownership, like you're saying, and creates an investment that I think will transcend, you know, just singing a piece of music. It also communicates and tells a story that is real and that's coming from truth.
yeah.
So that's the biggest part for me, is that how can we convey truth and help performers and conductors really share a message and tell a story that's rooted in realness.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Um, so what current or past piece are you like most excited to share? I love these art songs. Are these available? Are they published at this point, or?
The Earth songs,
Yeah,
they're in the revision process at the moment,
great,
and
great,
but they will be available, uh, but definitely by the end of the year for sure.
great, wonderful, wonderful. So possibly in time for like the Earth Day season, like spring of
Yeah.
2024. That's something to look forward to.
Mhm.
And So Breaks the Sun, is that currently available?
Yes, it is. It's currently available. It's you can access that on my website as well, and reach out to
Yeah,
me. That I can get you some scores as well.
that's great. And so what other pieces are like past or current pieces that you'd like to share with the
Yeah.
audience?
So I wrote a piece for the Orpheus Chamber Singers after winning their student composition contest back in
Congratulations.
2020. Thank you. Back in 2020, this was right before COVID hit, actually.
Yeah, sure.
And actually the premiere of Alleluia was right before the COVID hit. So I sent in a portfolio and they selected me as their winner. And the task that I was given was to write a choral piece that was for their concert theme, which was reflections. So they had pieces from the past and pieces of the present that reflected those same ideas. So I was supposed to write a piece that reflected Heinrich Schutz's Jauchzet dem Herrn. So I wrote this piece for double choir for Orpheus Chamber Singers in Dallas, and it was a simple one word idea, which was Alleluia, and that's
Yeah,
that's what I have now, and that the recording and the score are both available on my website as well. Again, same contacting information through there. Earth Songs will be available. I also will be making available pretty soon my tribute or more of a memorial to George Floyd, the death of George Floyd, or the murder of, rather.
yeah.
My piece entitled 846, 8 minutes 46 seconds, which was premiered by the 18th Street Singers in Washington, D.C.
Washington,
They
D.C.
Yes, and they premiered that last June. And once I get a recording and once I do some editing, that will be available as well, and I will release that to the public as well. So lots of different things moving in this sort of in the season coming up.
Yeah.
And yeah, some fun commissions coming up as well. I'm writing a piece for my alma mater, my undergraduate alma mater, for their Christmas candlelight concert.
Nice.
They're doing. I'm setting the 12 Days of Christmas. Or excuse me, not 12 Days of Christmas. I always do that. The night before Christmas
Oh,
for
okay.
for choir and orchestra, which I'm
Oh,
really
wow, that's
excited.
great. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot
yeah,
of
it's a
fun. So
text.
talking about telling a story.
Yeah, it's exactly, which I'm really excited about. That's going to be looking forward to that, especially
Yeah,
because I feel like that text doesn't get said enough, and it's a monster of a text, but it's a fun one. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Shavon Lloyd, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me and talk to the ACDA audience. And I
Mhm.
hope we get to meet in person sometime. Very cool.
Absolutely.
So
Looking
people can
forward
reach
to
you
it.
at ShavonLloyd.com, right?
Absolutely. ShavonLloyd.com.
That's two L's.
Oh, yes,
Shavon Lloyd.
two L's, O-Y-D. I feel like I have to say that every once in a while because sometimes people switch the O and the Y.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Well, again, thanks so much for doing
Thank
this. I
you.
really appreciate it.